do you read me?
Be advised, you are coming in weak and unreadable.
Say again, Com Tower. This is Pacho. Do you read me?
Pacho, this is Com Tower. I read you Lima Charlie.
Com Tower. Request permission to launch and commence the field op. Over.
Stand by. Pacho, permission granted. I say again, permission granted.
Roger that. Launching podcast in 3, 2. You are now entering the field op with your host, Pacho Correa, Chief Warrant Officer 3, United States Marine Corps retired. Get some. Hurrah! Get some. Hurrah! What's going on, everybody? Friday Night's Eve. Baby Friday. God damn, it's almost the weekend. We got a pretty good show going tonight. Let's get all the pleasantries out of the way. Hey, let me ask you something. When was the last time that you kind of took a hard look at your financials and see where you're really at as far as your goals for retiring, transitioning out of the military, buying a house? Maybe you're saving for that special trip or that vacation that you've been dreaming of, but you feel like you don't have a plan or a goal or something in place that's going to get you there. Well, that's where I come in. If you give me the opportunity, I can show you. We can have a meeting, 30, 40 minutes of your time. We can talk, and I will share some very specific things that you can actually start implementing right away and change your mindset and your concept of how you view your financials from here on out. And if at the end, if something makes sense and you want to explore what your options are and how we can further assist you, we can have that further conversation. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe you're looking to, get in the industry and you're open for some part-time work where you can make realistically $500 to, $2,000 extra a month for just a couple of hours a day. I mean, I can also help you out with that. So if it makes sense, you could go to right there on my link tree. It's all in the show description. It's got my Calendly link. Let's have a chat and let's talk and see what we can, how we can help each other out. If not, that's okay. Also, another thing that I've been doing in helping veterans, not only do I help veterans apply for the VA claims and benefits utilizing AI, which I know there's a bunch of other people doing it out there. However, one is I'm not going to charge you an arm and a leg. I'm not going to ask you for a percentage of your compensation for a couple of months or a year, like some of these people do, or just something crazy and ridiculous. This is just me, helping out. And then, all I ask is that be open. Instead of spending that money in something that doesn't make sense or the next fad that might not even be around next year, you using that money for something stupid, let's put it to work. Let's implement things that you're already missing and that, are going to help you set yourself free and get you to that other level as it pertains to your financials. So let's have a chat. So, but other than that, hey, look, you got to apply for your VA claims and benefits. As a matter of fact, I just post some of them. If you go on my TikTok, one of the things that the new Secretary of the VA is doing is actually they're improvising a lot of things. And they're pretty much going to get rid of CMP exams. If that stuff is already on your medical profile on the medical documents that you turn in, there's no need for verification, as well as some dumb stuff. Now, I will say this: if you're claiming something that wasn't there and you've been out for a couple of years, well, the burden is on you. But nonetheless, we can also make that you can also prove those things if you obviously, through lay statements, buddy statements, and all those things. So let's have a conversation. Let's get a talk. Go right there on the show description. It's got the link to my link tree, and let's set up a 30, 40-minute conversation, and then we can go from there. But it will be of your great benefit. So take advantage of all the stuff that's going on right now. So. And look, if you want to get into podcasting, you want to get into this industry and have your own show, you have great ideas, go to Sitch Radio, get with Brian Coburn. You go to sitchradio.com, get with Brian Coburn, book a session, go from there. The guy is an awesome coach, mentor. He's also a Marine as well. So I wouldn't be where I am today doing this podcast had it not been for Brian. So go ahead and check that out. So, and look, this show is all about our freedom of speech, and all the great things that the Constitution bears, like the right to bear arms, among other things. Whether you agree with it or not, that's okay, because that's also your right too. So, like, subscribe, and follow. If you don't like the show, again, go to situadio.com. There's plenty of other stuff in there. Just support a local podcaster and support a show. All right. So, but that's pretty much all the pleasantries out of the way. So, you know, over the last couple of weeks, those of you who follow me on social media, you've seen that, now that I'm in regs, I got rid of the hippie hair, which, by the way, I do miss here every once in a while, but that's okay. I wore my uniform to certain events. As a matter of fact, last night I attended an amazing event. So huge shout out to my buddy, Ralph Urbino, another fellow Marine. This guy and I went to high school together. Ralph was the drum major in our band when I was in school. He's an amazing musician, very, very, very talented trumpet player. And I went last night to the Florida International University Military Appreciation Concert. What an amazing event. What a great show. I mean, and I don't want to brag. However, there was a bunch of Marines there. I mean, whipping it on. The Marines took over. We had some members from our sister agencies. We had two guys from the Army. One of them was his name is Derek, wearing his uniform. Freaking amazing. Shout out to Big Mike, another amazing trumpet player, and Rick, the conductor. I mean, this guy was in the Marine Corps. He was part of the President's Own. What an amazing director. I mean, holy shit. As we say in the Marine Corps, man, if you didn't walk out of there with a hard on, goddamn it, you're goddamn un-American. But it was amazing. I mean, and another guy who was in the Marine Corps, his name was Gene, musician. He was also a musician in the Marine Corps. So great, just what a great event. I mean, hey Doc, Al-Raha, what's going on, bud? So, and huge shout out to Zachary. I can't even say that yet. Yeah, TikTok, can't TikTok. Okay. All right. Hey, that's, huge shout out. Thank you for jumping in on the show. I appreciate you guys. But yeah, what an amazing event. So, and I just kind of started thinking is that a lot of times, when I talk to a lot of veterans, there's this connotation that maybe is patriotism dead? Is it really? I don't know. I think it goes in kind of cycles, just like the economy. I remember, being very young when I first came to the United States. I was in my early teens, and we still, in the 80s, and I've met some veterans from Vietnam and everything else. And then just kind of after I got into the Marine Corps in the early 90s. We say amongst us veterans, we say that, hey, the Vietnam vets are kind of like the forgotten few, because they came home to a lot of animosity, a lot of just a horrible treatment. And these last couple of years, with our country being so divided, and just the lines on that saying are just so clear. Even veterans and service members, in a day and age where everything is on social media, it's just, I don't know. I think that despite all the noise, the hate, and division we often see from the past, even and in today's day and age, I'm a firm believer that patriotism is not dead. And I'll reflect on that, on real interactions that I've had over the last couple of weeks, not only by attending the Marine Corps Ball that I attend to. And again, shout out to our recruiting station, South Florida, freaking amazing job out there. But why these moments matter, and more than people realize, So I don't know, just there is a loud minority out there. is patriotism really dead out there? I don't know. I mean, yeah, you could turn the well. I mean, do people even turn on the news nowadays? I mean, you could go on social media, go open up whatever app, and if I mean, you go onto my the Field Ops page, and those of you who are, I mean, there are people that kind of chime, and I've had some negative comments on my YouTube channel and everything, but despite all that, one, I don't silence it. Or why? Because freedom of speech. I mean, even something that I don't agree with, and I'll talk about this a little bit more here later on, because I had a conversation last night with my buddy Ralph, who we happen to have very different political perspectives. However, we are, he is an amazing and dear and loving friend that, even though we disagree on that aspect, we still can have discord and have an amazing conversation. But, it does feel sometimes like, man, shit, I did all this time in the military, and, I would do it all over again, regardless, because I feel like that was my calling. And however, being feeling like, hey, thanks because what you did matter, or whatever else. We're here today. Just a little bit of gratitude, right? It's all I'm trying to get at, right? And there are trolls online that are ungrateful. I mean, again, I'm not trying to separate myself from the pack or saying that I'm the shit, whatever the case, but I mean, it says a lot, I think, for any individual that can still whip out 10, 11 years, however many years after the service, and still put on the uniform and still fit, be within regs, whatever the case. I mean, I don't know, call me conceited, whatever the case, but I think it speaks, it's a little bit more, it speaks a little bit more than just, if you can't, or hey, medical reasons, whatever, I get it. But man, so I was on my on one of the videos that I posted with my uniform when I first was able to. Somebody went in there on YouTube and I was like, oh, this guy's a fake. His NCO, he's not supposed to be wearing one, or I don't know what. I didn't even pay attention. I left it on there, by the way. You could go check it out, and you can see my response. Initially, I was going to just, I got really heated and emotional, just to some degree, and I was like, I'm gonna obliterate this guy. But I was like, you know what? I was like, are you kidding me? And like, one, first of all, if you're gonna ding me or gig me for my uniform, one, know that the Marine Corps order, because every every branch of the service has their own regulation standards for their uniform. So I was like, hey, according to Marine Corps order, frats, whatever. This is what the NCO blood stripe that we are, we as I'm a company grade officer retiree. So this is what I'm allowed to wear when I'm not. And if you're going to comment online, at least have the balls to you do some research and instead of doing diarrhea of the friggin' mouth. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Just some people feel. I mean, some keyboard commandos is like, you got a lot of balls being behind a fucking keyboard and just bumping your gums away, right? So. But there are a few who dominate the headlines but don't represent the actual majority, right? So yeah, we've seen all the TikToks on this shit. I even saw a lady on TikTok complaining about all the benefits that we get, supposedly. Thank you for your service, you're gonna get a discount for this, for that. And it's like, well, why not? Why not the business that offered? I mean, for all intent and purpose, my ass is on the line here. And again, we're having a conversation, and you can disagree and say, well, that's what you signed up for. Yeah, I get it. However, if a business doesn't buy, if it's something that a lot of business do already, and me asking or saying, hey, do you guys honor military discount? Oh yeah, we do. Here you go. Boom. Why not? Right? Well, this lady was like, because of XYZ. And by the way, if you do your research, those of you who actually lived inside a military installation, let's take the PX, for example. Just because it says, oh, it's tax, we don't pay taxes, bullshit. They tack on the price for many other things. And they call it, oh, yeah, but, oh, yeah, we call it's a surcharge, so that I'm like, but you said it was tax-free. Yes, but you still pay. it goes back to the program. It's like, what? That doesn't make any fucking sense. Again, those of you who lived and had the pleasure of shopping at one of the commissaries, you know what I'm talking about, right? So, and there's other people mocking the service, and just talking trash as a whole. Or some people, some service members, some veterans out there protesting for whatever X reason. I'm here to tell you that they're not the majority. Okay. And most of the time, hey, look, I get it. You got an opinion. You want to voice it. That's fine. But I'm here to tell you, everybody else and all the other for the rest of the masses, people like that, 9 times out of 10 in the service, there were what we call shit bags or shitbirds. Why? They were what we call, another term that we use, to sea lawyers, the ones who, according to regulation so-and-so and blah, 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 you're not supposed to do this and you can refuse that. And so bottom line is they were just pussies, pardon the expression, and just complainers that either got kicked out, never really advanced, got out as an E2, E3, whatever, and not really did anything or took advantage of while they were in. So, but on the other side, again, as wearing my uniform or being out there, or a lot of times I wear a Marine Corps hat. It says United States Marine Corps retiree. Really cool. I love it. Huge shout out to Army Sergeant Floria down in California, in Temecula area, for hooking me up with that hat a few months ago. Friggin' love it. But it's, when, let's take the Marine Corps ball, for example. I'm walking around and some of these young Marines, and I say young because holy shit, man, they just look, even some of the gunnies, I'm like, man, does your mom know you're playing Marine? It is what, I guess I'm at that age now, right? But nonetheless, hey, thanks, sir. Thank you for your service. Hey, people, it was because, thank you for forging the way for us who are still at it today and age. And people, a lot of people have been very, on TikTok, very positive. Thank you so much. And it's well appreciated. So, that, or even out at Starbucks, where I like to hang out as well. People say, hey, thank you for your service. Hoorah. Or I just I love running into service members. Because we all get each other. You know what I'm saying? It's like we all kind of gravitate to, oh, hey, shit, you serve in the Army and the Coast Guard, whatever. Oh, yeah, and then we just kind of like, it's like buddies that never met. And, it's funny. So last night, after this concert, I'm wearing my blues, my dress blue Bravos with my medals and everything. And all the other Marines are, wearing their mini medals. And so some of us actually went out to, a pub across the street. It was a billiard that's been here in Florida, in Miami for since I was a kid. Anyways, we're out there and just people were, oh man, hey, thanks for your service. Some people came up and they were checking out our medals, and it feels really good, that people still have that gratitude and patriotism, despite of everything that's going on out there. It still hits, you know what I'm saying? It hits you on the feels that, while that it may not be as common as it was, some years ago, it still has weight, and especially when it comes from younger people, seeing some, in a day and age where, again, all these young folks are just, or all of us, for lack of better words, we're flooded immensely with all kinds of information at all friggin' times. It's still pretty cool that and that people change their mind from one aspect to the other. It's still pretty cool that that people are still thankful, and they come up to you. So patriotism isn't in your face type of it's the quiet moments of respect that actually really, really matter, if that makes sense, right? So, but these little acts of gratitude they're very important, and they just remind me of that what I did, what you did, those of you on here listening and watching this show, what you did matter. right? Despite whether you feel like, well, I didn't deploy anywhere, which man, that's another thing that's kind of like I tend to see a lot. Well, I didn't do anything, I didn't deploy, and it's like there's this stigma that uh, that in order for you to do something or your time in the military for it to matter, that you had to go on the war on terrorism, you had to deploy to Afghanistan, Iraq, you had to go somewhere. And I'm here to tell you that that's bullshit. Don't think like that, because at the end of the day, when push comes to shove and whatever other things may happen, you signed that dotted line and you wrote a blank check to this great nation of ours saying, hey, you know what, some shit goes wrong, you can cash this bad boy in with my life. So don't downplay the time, whether you deployed or not, saw combat, rip, whether you have ribbons and because ribbons, deployments, and all that stuff. I mean, I've worked with a lot of shit bags and whatever else that deployed and they still sucked. You know what I'm saying? So just wear the uniform, be proud. And again, even those shit bags, I mean, I got to give them credit too, because I mean, they signed on the dotted line as well. So, I mean, even their service matter. You know what I'm saying. So, but it's not in. If you feel invisible, misunderstood, and like your service is forgotten, it isn't. I'm here to tell you that your time mattered. What you did in the service, meant something, and still means something. I mean, fuck. Just within the last couple of years, there's been so much changes, and not only to doctrine, we've seen some historical moments. We've seen, I just within recently, Saddam Hussein, all these other bad guys. We've seen, we've been part, of history. And I'm telling you, with technology and all these other things being implemented, things that mean shit. When I first came in, were unheard of. So we don't serve to be thanked, but damn, when it happens, it reminds you that you're not forgotten. You know what I'm saying? So whether you're deployed, didn't, whatever, hey, thank you for your service, right? So, and for those of you out there, and to all those unknown folks that said, hey, that came up to me in the yesterday when I was at the Marine Corps ball, whatever, and said thank you. Hey, we appreciate it, and we really do. And those of you on here that listen to the show, and if you're a civilian and you want to do something for us, help out, go volunteer at one of the places, go hand out, help the VFW or the American Legions. I guarantee that every Sunday, a lot of those places, they have a breakfast that they do for service members. It's at a small fee. Go over there and have breakfast. Contribute to those organizations. Visit your local. Here in Miami, I noticed that a lot of VFWs and American Legions, they allowed just regular folks to walk in. Go walk in there and have a beer or two. Buy a drink for somebody, support one of those local organizations, go in there, volunteer, find out what their events that you want to thank somebody for their service, go over there and do those things. Go to a hospital, assisted living facility, and go meet up with some of the old veterans that are in there with no family, nobody. Sit with them, talk to them, ask them about their life, their story, their military career, shoot the shit with them, and make them feel appreciated. Because a lot of times, and not just service members, just an elderly, but go do something that means and that helps out somebody, and find out organizations out there that also help raise the kids and military families of those organizations, basically families who've lost a service member due to combat, or here in garrison or whatever the case may be. Help one of those organizations. VTS, Veterans Transition Support. It's an organization that I'm very, very passionate about. They help veterans transition service members out of the military into the private sector by teaching them classes, resume writing. They also help them with VA claims and everything. Support that organization. They help them out. Russell Levy, Kathy Berman, and then Miguel. They do an amazing job helping veterans out. You could check them out on Veterans Transition Support (VTS). They're on LinkedIn. They're on Facebook. They're on Instagram. You can support. Warrior Built is another organization that Aaron Siebert, Chief Siebert, he's been on our show multiple times. You go on there. You could go to Warrior Built and support and support. They do a lot of that organization does a lot of events for PTSD combat veterans. Get them out into doing events, getting them out of the house, out of their heads, and doing and they also help out with study researches, medical support, just a ton of stuff. So you want to thank somebody for their service, go out there and help them out, and then just show up and be thankful, So encourage. So here's my challenge to you, dear listener. Engage with the community some more. Show a little bit of appreciation, right? Don't just say, "Hey, thanks for your service." Or here's a better one. If you're a corporate, big company, instead of just saying, "Hey, we love our veterans here, thank you for your service," and then Veterans Day comes around, or maybe 4th of July, primarily Veterans Day, because I'm very familiar with this, because when I used to work with corporate, you have some type of luncheon, you give them some little trinkets, maybe give them some cake and whatever. And it's all right, get your ass back to work, whatever, and that's it. A lot of veterans, whether they had combat or not, a lot of veterans, because maybe they were hardcore, maybe they get when they were in, they did a lot of training. There's a lot of MOSs that do a lot of field training and combat related training, but they never get the chance to deploy. So the point that I'm trying to make here, if you're a corporate business owner, you want to thank them for their service, allow them to go to their VA claims and benefits and for the medical appointments without impacting their PTO, their sick days, or whatever, or whatever else. I'm not saying that people aren't going to take advantage, but a lot of times, let me tell I'm here to tell you from somebody that, it's got a lot of post-service things that are going, aches and pains is what I'm trying to get at, is allow these folks to go do those things, to go get their assessments as part of their claims and benefits, because a lot of times we end up paying a lot of shit out, a lot of things out of pocket. I mean, these people put their asses on the line for a lot of years. So give them that opportunity at least, right? Don't write people off. That's why the older I've gotten, the more mature I've gotten. I've learned to respect people. I've learned to value people more. And even if they're disrespectful towards me, I just kind of stay in silence, because I don't know what is it that person's going through at that time that makes them act or feel that way. I don't know what is it. So, I guess just, be kind is all I'm trying to get that. So it's all I'm trying to get that. So, and, I'll leave you with this. We're not relics of the past. We're reminders of what sacrifice still looks like. Sacrifice doesn't have to mean that, I gave, I perished in some type of military related training or deployment or whatever the case, in which there are a lot of those that have done, and I lost a lot of friends, but it means a lot, because you never know when you say thank you to somebody that is a veteran or whatever. That thank you can go a long way, because you don't know what that individual is going through. Maybe they're dealing with and they're thinking about suicide, and by you just acknowledging them, that they're there and thanking them, you might have just saved their life. You never know that. So, but I think this is a good place to index in my rant. So I will leave it, speaking about suicide and mental struggles. Hey, look, if you've been ruminating, struggling, you've thought about taking your life, ending things because you're going through some really tough, shitty times. I'm here to tell you, and this is not a cliche. Tough times won't last. Tough guys and gals do. So give me a shout out. Call me. If again, my information it's all right there on that link tree. that you see right here in the show description. You could get a hold of me. Let me have. I do have I have resources available to me that I can get you that much needed help that you need to get you out of those dark times. Or maybe you just want to have a conversation. I'm here for you too. So, but that's pretty much it, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for sticking around. Hear me bump, here with my sexy ass accent. Support all my other channels. Pass me around. Let somebody know, everybody. So with that being said, I'm just going to go ahead and end it. So, aishitamasu, daisuki, arigato, ara, get some. Bye-bye.